Hi, I'm Tara, and I am here to start you off on the next step in the meditative art of counted cross stitch. So, one of the things that you're probably asking is how is meditative is counted cross stitch? Well, meditation is basically focusing in on one thing. So, when we talk about that with counted cross stitch, you're focusing in on the counted cross stitch. It pulls your attention directly into it because it does require you to pay attention. And it allows your brain and your mind to relax, your subconscious to work out any issues that you may be having, any problems you're trying to solve, while you do something that can be relaxing and enjoyable, and you can actually see your accomplishments every time you get started on it. So this episode of the Meditative Art of Cross Stitching is very basic. It's for the beginner, and I hope if you're more advanced that you'll pick up some tips on this, and of course we'll always be open to sharing tips about counted cross stitch on the site. So make sure that you have your beginning counted cross stitch kit. Make sure it's a kit. Kit has your aida cloth, your pattern, your needle, and your floss, which some might call thread, but it's your floss is what is pretty commonly known as. So you're going to have that, and then some other items you might need depending on the size is you might need a hoop. This is to keep it taut. Anything bigger than 4x4 you definitely want to get a hoop for. And then you'll also need some masking tape. This is to utilize around the edges, scissors, a ruler in some cases, and good lighting. So make sure you are in a place that is going to be good for your lighting. I also recommend having like a threader, which is something that goes into the needle and it will help you pull the embroidery cloth through. And you always want to start off with clean hands. So that's a big tip there, is clean hands, because the aida cloth and the embroidery floss will pick up dirt from your hands that you didn't even know you had. So, I mean, you can wash it off with clean hands. The other thing that we're going to discuss today is reading about the project I am working on. It's semi-beginner. This is going to be a little bit more pretty. Is the little Christmas ornament, Christmas stockings that you probably saw in the introduction video. So this is a little bit of the picture. You see that? So in this you can tell it's a kit because it'll tell you what is all inside of it. You can kind of see that there's floss and there's some extra stuff in aida. So in this counted cross stitch, which you have to kind of consider, is it's sort of like a recipe. So you always want to read through it and then make sure you have all the materials that it asks for before you even get started, because otherwise you will go like not starting and stopping and starting and stopping. So the first thing is to go through, read it out. And so this one, you can see this. One of the things that it says that you have to do is you're going to have to cut your aida cloth into certain sizes. Now, like I said, this is a little bit more advanced. The patterns are fairly simple, but the project is a little bit more up there. But it's not impossible. And then it gives you some instructions about starting. And you'll see in step 1, I don't know if you can see it or not, right here, that is telling you to tape the aida cloth. And what the masking tape does, and why they tell you to do that, is it keeps it from unraveling. Over here you have your key. And the key will tell you how many strands, it will tell you what type of stitch, it will tell you what color is affiliated with the symbol. And that's part of counted cross stitch, is the symbol. So this one also gives you kind of, it has other languages, so you'll see a little bit more detail on this. It has a color number associated with it. If you have to go buy a replacement because something happened to the thread, you dropped it in grape juice or something crazy like that. And it tells you how much, in this case, how much of it you got. And that's not always going to tell you that. in the other languages or how much you got. So it just depends on the pattern, how simple. So you want to read through, make sure you learn all their tips, because one of the things they do is they'll tell you like stitches, how they want you to do your stitches, what their symbols mean for the stitches. So there's the basic instructions for that. The other thing that you're going to do once you've gone through all that is when you're just working with one pattern. So here's a little snowman, and you see these little black arrows that there's here and this one here. Those are telling you how to find the center of this, because you're going to fold it in half, your pattern, to find the center. And with counted cross stitch, you always start in the center and work your way out. So I'm going to show you one that was started in the center and I'm kind of working out. So that's one I'm working on. And then I'm going to show you this one. This is the part of the stockings. You can kind of see how the masking tape is around the edge. And then when I fold it in the center, and then it's going to give me my little crease in there. And that would be where I would poke a needle so I can find it. Another trick that someone taught me, and this is really good the larger you get, is you take like a thread, like a gray thread on the white fabric, and you weave it in like every 10 or every few, so that it kind of goes down and then across. And then if you have a larger one, you can do it so you make your grid pattern a little bit on there every 20 or so it's not all over. But then you can just, you leave enough that when you get started you can just pull it out, but it's a good way to kind of keep your counting, since you're going to count from there and know where to start. So that's just kind of a little bit of a tidbit that I picked up in my experience with counted cross stitch. So that's the basic very beginning, and we'll get started in the next session on putting in our first stitch. Right, thank you and have a great